in an agreement between UDA, ANC and Ford Kenya. ANC will be allocated a position of prime cabinet secretary to be established within 14 days. It was given to Musalia. The office of the deputy president, Ford Kenya will be allocated the position of the Speaker of the National Assembly, which was given to Moses Wetangula.
Iko watu tunaanza hii nikisema kwamba jamii zetu zote ziungane pamoja na watu wengine wanakasirika. Acha niwaambie siri moja. Iko mwingine alikuwa anasema kwamba President Ruto alipata kura 200,000 yalifanya akakuwa president wa Kenya hadi kutoka Bungoma. Hata kama ilitoka Bungoma sio Wetangula alipeleka hiyo kura huko. Bongo. Hii kitu inaitwa hustler movement, vijana wote walikuwa wameipenda. Ni kama kusema kwamba ati Waiguru ndiye alipatia Ruto kura kule Kirinyaga. Ruto alijitafutia kura yake Kirinyaga kama namna gani? Ni vile alijitafutia hapa Bungoma akapata kura ya support mingi, wabuguzi wengine hapa town wakaongeza kura kule ile. Jamaa anaenda naye anasema hiyo ndio mimi nitaleta namna gani?
Ladies and gentlemen, as I have always said in the past, when the dynasties crumble, the falling kings of these dying kingdoms are results to desperate acts and means to survive, which might actually cost them more than what they have already lost in the past. Now, in the Western Kenyan politics, lately we have seen a change in guard. In the politics of the Mulembe nation, this has happened since the entry of the Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya to the scene of the Western politics. The rise of the Tower movement in the Western Kenya has become the greatest nightmare to the leaders that have held the kingpin role in the Mulembe nation politics for the last few decades. And that is none other than Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula, who currently seems to be clinging on the straws of power in the Luhyaland to maintain their relevance in the politics of the Mulembe nation. The Speaker of the National Assembly and Ford Kenya Party leader Moses Wetangula, as of today, been exposed over a plot of planning to assassinate one of his own party MPs, the Member of Parliament of Kabuchai, Majimbo Kalasinga. I want you to listen to this before I divert into this story fully. Listen to the message given out by Majimbo Kalasinga today.
My good Speaker, Honorable Moses Wetangula, whether you spoke in vernacular, you can't get away with it. You can't get away with this. We can even interpret French into English. We can interpret Jaluo into English. We can interpret Kikuyu into English. I want the security organs to interpret the speech of Honorable Moses Masika Wetangula when he addressed delegates of Fort Kenya in his home in Kandui. In the essence, what he said is, during this by-election of 27th of November, Majimbo Kalasinga, we shall reach the election kama amevuka. Sijui kama ni kuvuka kwenda mbinguni ama kwenda Uganda. Na kura zitapikwa hapa Twele Kabuchai ward, where I am a voter. I have a right to vote. How does he think that I don't have a right to vote? I should be either in Uganda or heaven, or where he meant. Can he come out clear and tell Kenyans what he meant by saying atavuka ngambo in vernacular, in my language, Bukusu, my party leader? You can't get away with it. It must be explained, and I'm asking IG Kanja to quickly call for these clips and sit and analyze word by word, interpret word by word, and come to tell Kenyans if Majimbo Kalasinga is safe or not. if the candidate who is not a Fort Kenya candidate on the ballot is safe or not. Those are things when Majimbo asks in parliament, he's against Moses Masika Wetangula. My brother, my elder brother Moses, I have respected you so much. You know that very well. There is no single day I have called a press like now to address Moses. I have been respect him so much. Even after this press statement, I will still respect you so much. But I will kindly ask you to respect me. We are not going to buy fear. Nobody is going to threaten anybody.
Now, allow me to tell you that this is what actually happens when kingdoms start falling, when leaders actually have nothing else to offer and they're trying to cling on the power that they thought they had. Moses Wetangula recently has decided to abscond his duties as the Speaker of the National Assembly to play the kingmaker's role in the politics of the Luhyaland, where he has been lately trying so much to mobilize grassroots registration for his Fort Kenya party, which seems to have lost its touch with the people of the Western Kenya. But most of his efforts have mostly been frustrated by loyalists to George Natembeya Tawe movement, who wants nothing to do with Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi. Now this has forced Moses Wetangula to resort to unnecessary means like the use of goons to send a message to his defectors or intimidate his critics. But let me answer one question that you might be asking. You all might be asking, why should a Speaker of the National Assembly be trying so much to gain relevance in the politics of the Mulembe nation right now? Now, this is what is happening. The rise of George Natembeya in the politics of the Luhyaland has become a nightmare to most of these Luhyaland politicians, who more so are in the government of the day. That is Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula. Now, Moses Wetangula holds a role as the Speaker of the National Assembly. Musalia Mudavadi is the current Prime Cabinet Secretary. But you know they have these roles because of an MOU, the Memoranda of Understanding that they signed between them and the Kenya Kwanza administration in the 2022 elections, where they agreed to William Ruto would give them 30% shares in his government. But when Raila Amolo Odinga came in, it destabilized the agreement that Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula had with William Ruto, because their relevance was dimmed by the entry of Raila Amolo Odinga into the picture. Now their relevance is currently dying completely with the current rise of George Natembeya in the Mulembe nation politics. Anybody who tries to speak against George Natembeya in Luhyaland recently seems to be an enemy of the people. And Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula have been speaking that language. So Moses Wetangula, having not resigned from his role as the Fort Kenya party leader, he has had to go back to his roots. And that is why you saw he was promising area chiefs in Bungoma that whoever registers as many voters as possible in Bungoma County to make sure that Bungoma is ranked as the top, the highest county with the largest number of voters in Kenya. Moses Wetangula was saying that he was ready to give them 1 million Kenyan shillings each of the said chiefs. Why? Because Moses Wetangula needs a negotiation tool come the year 2027. His relevance has been destabilized by George Natembeya and the entry of Raila Amolo Odinga into the government. So they know, or Moses Wetangula knows, if George Natembeya continue rising to power, and more so if George Natembeya continue stealing his supporters, because that is what they refer as to stealing, by the way. But most of the followers of Moses Wetangula have defected to following George Natembeya because they see the relevance of George Natembeya's politics. They see if they support George Natembeya might actually speak for them. But for people like Moses Wetangula, they have only resulted to only speaking about their stomachs and not for the people of the Luhya nation. So now, Moses Wetangula is trying to build an empire in Bungoma County to make sure that he registers so many party members under his Ford Kenya party and also registered so many voters in Bungoma County to ensure what? That he has a higher negotiation power at the table when William Ruto comes to making decisions of how they will share power in the year 2027. I mean, but at the end of the day, one thing that you must agree is that George Natembeya is bringing these leaders of the Luhya nation down one by one. Those tumbocrats that have always cared about nobody else but their stomachs are coming down, are crumbling down under the reign of George Natembeya. Long live Tawe movement, long live George Natembeya. Moses Wetangula aendelee na threats, aendelee kupanga kuua watu, but at the end of the day, the evidence will predict those that he is planning against. For now, that's what's up. Make sure you subscribe. This is the Kenyan Daily Report.